Sedona, where red rocks whisper ancient secrets. Welcome to Town Tales, where extraordinary places come alive through stories and mysteries. Today, we journey to a land where crimson rocks touch azure skies, where spiritual energy flows freely, and where the extraordinary seems commonplace. This is Sedona, Arizona, a desert jewel that captivates with its beauty and intrigues with its secrets. If you've ever wanted to discover a place that transforms your soul while filling your Instagram with breathtaking views, then subscribe to Town Tales right now. Hit that like button and share this video with everyone who needs a dose of wonder in their lives. Your support helps us continue exploring these magnificent American treasures. The first time I laid eyes on Sedona's vermilion landscape, I knew I was somewhere extraordinary. As the morning light caressed the towering red rock formations, painting them in shades of fire against the crystal blue sky, I understood why this place has drawn pilgrims, artists, adventurers, and dreamers for generations. But what I didn't know then was how deeply Sedona's stories would become entwined with my own. Some places on Earth seem to exist in a dimension all their own, where time moves differently, where the boundary between the physical and spiritual thins, where the landscape itself seems alive with consciousness. Sedona is undoubtedly one of these rare portals. Standing beneath Cathedral Rock as the sun sets, watching the shadows play across Bell Rock at dawn, or feeling the gentle embrace of Oak Creek as it winds through the Red Rock canyons, these experiences transcend mere sightseeing. They become moments of connection with something greater than ourselves. Sedona wasn't always the spiritual haven and tourist destination we know today. Long before Instagram influencers discovered its perfect backdrops, this land was sacred to indigenous peoples. The Yavapai and Apache tribes considered these crimson canyons holy ground, a place where the veil between worlds thinned, where prayers rose like smoke signals to waiting deities above. They knew what modern visitors soon discover. There's something different about the air here, something that makes you breathe deeper, think clearer, feel more intensely. Archaeological evidence suggests human presence in this region dates back thousands of years. Petroglyphs and pictographs still visible on certain rock faces tell stories of ancient peoples who recognized the power of this place. The Sinagua people, whose name ironically means without water in Spanish, cultivated crops here from around 500 CE until mysteriously disappearing around 1425 CE. They left behind cliff dwellings, irrigation systems, and cultural artifacts that speak to a sophisticated understanding of this challenging yet rewarding landscape. When European settlers first encountered this crimson wonderland in the late 19th century, many were struck speechless by its otherworldly beauty. It's said that one early pioneer, upon cresting a hill and seeing the red rocks bathed in sunset light for the first time, fell to his knees believing he'd stumbled upon the gates of heaven itself. This reaction, this immediate recognition of the sacred, continues to repeat itself daily as new visitors round a bend on Highway 179 and gasp at their first glimpse of Sedona's majesty. The town itself has a charming origin story. Though settlements existed in the area since the 1870s, Sedona, as we know it, was named for Sedona Arabella Miller Schneble, the wife of the first postmaster. She was known for her hospitality and warmth, qualities that still define the town today. Though locals love debating whether this naming story is historical fact or clever fiction, the spirit of welcome remains undisputed. Theodore Karl, T.C., Schneble and his wife Sedona arrived from Missouri in 1901, establishing an orchard and large home that soon became a central gathering place. When T.C. decided to establish a post office to serve the growing community, he initially suggested the names Oak Creek Crossing and Schneble Station to Washington officials. Both were rejected for being too long. His brother Ellsworth suggested he simply use his wife's first name, Sedona, which was both distinctive and short enough for postal requirements. The name was approved, and a legend was born. Sedona Schneble herself embodied the pioneer spirit. A mother of 5 who could reportedly shoot as accurately as any man, bake pies that became local legend, and still find time to welcome travelers with genuine kindness, she set the tone for the community that would grow around her name. Locals still speak of her with a reverence usually reserved for founding fathers, and her grave in the Cook Cemetery remains a place of pilgrimage for those interested in Sedona's human history. As you wander through Sedona's winding roads, you'll notice an interesting phenomenon: the perfect marriage of Wild West heritage and New Age spirituality. One moment you're hearing tales of cowboys and outlaws, and yes, everyone seems to have a grandfather who is supposedly Wyatt Earp's best friend, and the next, someone's offering to cleanse your aura with a crystal found at one of Sedona's famous vortexes. This unique cultural blend didn't happen overnight. The cowboys and ranchers came first, tough men and women who wrestled a living from this beautiful but challenging land. Names like Bear Howard, who reportedly wrestled the animal that gave him his nickname, and Jimmy Estes, a legendary local guide who could track a sidewinder through a sandstorm, pepper the historical records and campfire stories. Their legacy lives on in the annual rodeos, Western-themed restaurants, and the pride with which locals point out historic ranches and homesteads. The spiritual seekers began arriving in significant numbers during the 1960s and 70s, drawn by reports of special energy emanating from the Red Rocks. By the 1980s, Sedona had become an internationally recognized spiritual destination, mentioned in the same reverent tones as Machu Picchu or Tibet's Mount Kailash. Rather than creating conflict, this influx of New Age thought seemed to blend seamlessly with the existing Western individualism. Both cultures, after all, value personal freedom, connection to the land, and a certain maverick approach to conventional wisdom. The vortexes, those mysterious energy centers that have made Sedona famous among spiritual seekers worldwide. These swirling concentrations of energy are said to facilitate prayer, meditation, and healing. Whether you believe in their power or not, there's something undeniably special about sitting atop Bell Rock or Cathedral Rock as the sun sets, feeling the day's heat radiating from the stones beneath you, and watching the landscape transform into a painter's dream of oranges, purples, and golds. The concept of Sedona's vortexes entered popular consciousness largely through the work of Paige Bryant, a psychic who identified several specific energy centers in 1980. According to those who study such phenomena, Sedona contains both upflow, or electric, vortexes that energize and invigorate, and inflow, or magnetic, vortexes that facilitate introspection and meditation. The four main vortex sites, Airport Mesa, Cathedral Rock, Bell Rock, and Boynton Canyon, each have their own distinctive energy signature and are said to facilitate different types of spiritual work. Scientists note that Sedona does have some unusual geophysical properties. The high iron oxide content in the rocks creates a measurable magnetic field, and the unique geology creates interesting electromagnetic anomalies. These natural phenomena may explain some of the sensations people report at vortex sites: tingling in the hands, feelings of lightness or heaviness, unexpected emotional responses. Or perhaps there truly is something metaphysical at work here, something beyond our current scientific understanding. Either way, thousands of visitors annually report profound experiences at these sites: healing, creative inspiration, spiritual awakening, and unexpected clarity about life decisions. I remember meeting Maria, a local artist who came to Sedona for a weekend 20 years ago and never left. I was supposed to be passing through, she told me as she arranged her handcrafted jewelry at the Tlaquepaque Arts and Shopping Village. But Sedona had other plans for me. The rocks called, and I couldn't ignore them. Maria's story isn't unusual here. The town seems to collect souls, drawing them in with its beauty and keeping them with its magic. Maria's journey from weekend tourist to permanent resident reflects a pattern that locals call being Sedonid, that moment when the land claims you as its own. She told me how she'd been a high-powered marketing executive in Chicago, living what looked like a dream life on paper, but feeling increasingly hollow inside. That first trip to Sedona was meant to be a brief respite, a chance to recharge before diving back into the corporate rat race. Instead, it became the dividing line between her old life and her authentic one. I remember standing on Airport Mesa that first evening, she said, her hands working silver wire into intricate patterns as she spoke. The sunset was painting the rocks all these impossible colors, and suddenly I felt this opening. like my chest cracked wide, and something ancient and wise poured in. I started sobbing right there in front of strangers. By morning, I knew I couldn't leave. Within 6 months, Maria had sold her Chicago condo, liquidated her retirement accounts, and moved to Sedona with no job prospects, but an unshakable conviction that she was home. 20 years later, her jewelry is collected by enthusiasts worldwide, and her sunrise meditations at Bell Rock remain as sacred to her as that first transformative sunset. The magic extends beyond the landscape and into the community itself. Sedona harbors a fascinating mix of traditional Western values and progressive, spiritual openness. Political discussions might start over pizza at a local restaurant and end with everyone agreeing to disagree, because in Sedona, the connection to something larger than partisan politics is always present. The Red Rocks don't care who you voted for. They've stood witness to millennia of human drama and will remain long after our current concerns have faded to dust. This unique social alchemy creates unexpected alliances and friendships. At a local coffee shop, I observed a conversation between a retired rancher, his hat weathered by decades of sun, and a crystal healer wearing flowing garments adorned with sacred geometry patterns. They were deep in discussion about water conservation, each bringing their distinct perspective, his rooted in generations of practical desert knowledge, hers in spiritual understanding of water as sacred life force, yet finding remarkable common ground in their shared love for this fragile ecosystem. The city council meetings in Sedona might be the only place in America where discussions about mundane matters like road maintenance can seamlessly transition into passionate debates about preserving the energy grid of the landscape. A proposed development isn't just evaluated for its economic or environmental impact, but for how it might affect the spiritual qualities that draw visitors from around the world. This holistic approach to community governance sometimes bewilders outsiders, but makes perfect sense to those who have experienced Sedona's unique presence. For sports enthusiasts, Sedona might not be the first destination that comes to mind, but the local passion for outdoor recreation is unmatched. Hiking trails wind through the wilderness like arteries, keeping the heart of the community beating strong. Mountain bikers challenge gravity on slick rock paths, and even high school football games become community events that echo through the canyons. The cheers of supporters can apparently be heard across town, though that might be another Sedona tall tale. Sedona's relationship with outdoor adventure runs deep. With over 200 miles of trails ranging from gentle strolls along Oak Creek to challenging scrambles up canyon walls, hiking is less a hobby here than a way of life. Locals categorize visitors by their footwear. The shiny, clean hiking boots mark first-timers, while dusty, well-worn trail runners indicate someone who's been Sedona'd already. The most popular trails, Devil's Bridge, Cathedral Rock, Soldier Pass, can see hundreds of hikers daily during peak season, creating an interesting challenge for those seeking solitude in nature. Mountain biking has evolved into an art form here, with riders navigating the technical challenges of slick rock terrain that seems designed specifically to test human skill and nerve. The annual Sedona Mountain Bike Festival draws thousands of enthusiasts who test themselves against the red rock landscape. Local legend Chuck Masters, now in his 70s, still rides trails that make visitors half his age pale with anxiety. The rocks teach you humility, he told me after effortlessly navigating a drop that had me walking my bike. You think you're in control, then the mountain reminds you who's really in charge. The Sedona Red Rock High School football team, appropriately named the Scorpions, plays with the same intensity as the landscape they call home. Their home games transform the community, with businesses closing early and residents streaming toward the field where generations of locals have cheered the crimson-clad players. It's more than just football, explained longtime coach Bobby Martinez. When these kids play beneath the red rocks where their grandfathers played, they're connecting to something timeless. It's about belonging to this place, being worthy of it. The team's pregame ritual includes touching a piece of red rock kept on the sideline, a tactile reminder of the land that shapes their identity. Speaking of tales, Sedona has its share of mysteries and legends. UFO sightings are reported with such regularity that locals barely raise an eyebrow anymore. Those strange lights dancing across the night sky could be visitors from another world, drawn to the same energy that attracts human tourists, or perhaps just the reflection of starlight on the mineral-rich rocks. Either way, looking up at Sedona's unpolluted night sky is an experience that borders on the religious. The UFO phenomenon in Sedona gained significant momentum in the early 1990s when hundreds of witnesses reported a massive V-shaped formation of lights moving silently across the Arizona sky, an event later dubbed the Phoenix Lights, despite being visible from Sedona as well. Since then, reports of unusual aerial phenomena have become so commonplace that several tour companies offer specialized UFO tours, where guides equipped with night vision goggles lead visitors to optimal viewing locations. Skeptics point out that the nearby airport and unusual atmospheric conditions created by the unique topography could explain many sightings, while believers insist that Sedona's special energy makes it a natural landing zone for extraterrestrial visitors. Robert Miller, a retired physicist who moved to Sedona in 2001, maintains a detailed database of local sightings. "I came here as a skeptic," he admitted as he showed me his meticulously organized records. 20 years and 3 personal sightings later, I'm still searching for scientific explanations, but I've had to expand my definition of what's possible. Miller's most compelling evidence includes multiple witness accounts of the same phenomena and several instances where electronic equipment malfunctioned during sightings, cameras failing to record, phones losing power, watches stopping. Whatever it is, he said with the cautious precision of a scientist, it interacts with our technology in ways we don't yet understand. The indigenous peoples who first inhabited this area have their own explanations for the lights in the sky. According to some tribal elders, the beings that modern observers call aliens are actually star people, ancient guardians who have watched over this sacred land since time immemorial. Their increased activity in recent decades is interpreted by some as a response to environmental threats facing the region. They're concerned, an Apache elder told me during a chance encounter at Oak Creek. The land is changing. The waters are troubled. They come more often now to help us remember our responsibilities to this place. Whether one interprets these phenomena through a scientific, spiritual, or indigenous lens, the mystery adds another layer to Sedona's multifaceted identity. Then there's the Crying Rock, a formation that some swear emits a mournful sound as the sun disappears behind the horizon. Geologists will tell you it's just the natural contraction of stone as temperatures drop, but others insist it's the voice of the land itself, singing ancient songs to those willing to listen. I've spent evenings waiting by this rock, and while I can't confirm the crying, there is something haunting about the wind as it weaves through the sculpted arches and towers. Located in a less-traveled canyon accessible only by a demanding hike, the Crying Rock doesn't appear on official maps or tourist brochures. Locals are protective of its location, sharing directions only with those they feel will approach the site with appropriate reverence. According to legend, the rock marks the site of a tragic love story, either between star-crossed lovers from warring tribes or, in another version, between a mortal woman and a spirit being. As the woman's tears fell upon the stone, they infused it with eternal sorrow that still finds voice as daylight fades. Dr. Elaine Winters, a geologist who has studied Sedona's formations for over 2 decades, offers a less romantic but equally fascinating explanation. The specific mineral composition of certain rock layers, combined with the extreme temperature fluctuations we experience here, can create microfractures that release energy as sound, she explained. What makes the Crying Rock unique is the natural amplification created by its shape and positioning within the canyon. Whatever the explanation, those who have heard the sound describe it as transformative, a mournful keening that seems to bypass the ears and resonate directly with the heart. I met Sarah, a grief counselor from Portland, who makes an annual pilgrimage to the Crying Rock to process her own losses and renew her capacity to help others through theirs. There's something profoundly healing about hearing the earth itself express sorrow, she told me as we shared a thermos of tea near the formation. It reminds us that grief is natural, ancient, universal, not something to be fixed or overcome, but experienced fully as part of life's cycle. As the sun began to set, we fell silent, straining to hear. Just when I'd given up hope, a sound emerged, Not dramatic or obvious, but subtle, like a distant human sigh carried on the wind. Sarah smiled knowingly. She doesn't perform on command, she whispered. The rock speaks when someone needs to hear it. Hollywood discovered Sedona's cinematic landscape long ago. The rugged terrain has served as the backdrop for numerous westerns, and film buffs can follow this cinema route to visit locations where John Wayne once rode tall in the saddle. Sedona doesn't just look like a movie set. It has been one repeatedly, its natural beauty proving irresistible to directors seeking authenticity and grandeur. The film industry's love affair with Sedona began in 1923 when Zane Grey's The Call of the Canyon became the first movie filmed among the Red Rocks. The majestic landscape soon drew Hollywood's biggest names. John Ford shot scenes for Stagecoach here in 1939, helping to launch John Wayne's career and establishing Sedona as the quintessential Western backdrop. Over the decades that followed, more than 60 feature films were shot in the area, including classics like Johnny Guitar, 3:10 to Yuma, and Broken Arrow. The 1950s represented the golden age of filmmaking in Sedona, when stars like James Stewart, Henry Fonda, Glenn Ford, and Richard Widmark became temporary residents, staying at the Sedona Lodge, now a historic landmark, and mingling with locals at the coffee shop. Old-timers still tell stories of Elvis Presley filming Stay Away Joe in 1968, charming the local ladies and buying rounds of drinks at the Oak Creek Tavern. These Hollywood connections created an unusual cultural fusion, a small Arizona town where cowboys might casually discuss camera angles and lighting techniques. Don Dedera, a longtime Arizona journalist, captured this unique atmosphere in his memoir. Sedona in the 50s was where the Old West met Hollywood glamour, creating something altogether new. You'd see actual working cowboys having coffee next to actors playing cowboys, each learning from the other, the actors gaining authenticity, the real wranglers picking up a bit of showmanship. This cross-pollination left its mark on the local culture, adding a theatrical flair to traditional Western sensibilities that persists today. For film enthusiasts, Sedona offers numerous opportunities to walk in the footsteps of silver screen legends. At the Sedona Heritage Museum, an extensive collection of movie memorabilia and photographs documents the town's cinematic history. Several tour companies offer specialized movie history tours that take visitors to famous filming locations, from the iconic Cathedral Rock, featured in countless westerns, to the site where the climactic gunfight in Johnny Guitar was filmed. The museum even maintains an archive of interviews with locals who worked as extras or crew members, preserving first-hand accounts of Hollywood's golden age in Sedona. The town's relationship with art extends far beyond film. Galleries line the streets, showcasing works inspired by the surrounding beauty. From traditional Western paintings to abstract interpretations of Sedona's energy, art flourishes here like the hardy plants that somehow thrive in the desert climate. Many residents joke that Sedona has an unusually high concentration of artists per capita. When you're not creating art, you're probably selling it or appreciating it. With over 80 art galleries packed into this small community, Sedona boasts one of the highest gallery-to-resident ratios in the United States. The artistic tradition began with painters like Max Ernst and Dorothea Tanning, surrealists who moved to Sedona in the 1940s, drawn by the dreamlike quality of the landscape. Today, the tradition continues with renowned contemporary artists like Aaron Hansen, whose vibrant, open impressionism captures the dynamic energy of the Red Rocks, and indigenous artists like Darvin Deshini, whose pottery incorporates traditional Navajo designs with elements inspired by the local topography. Tlaquepaque Arts and Shopping Village, modeled after a traditional Mexican village with its stucco walls and cobblestone walkways, serves as the epicenter of Sedona's art scene. Originally envisioned by Nevada businessman Abe Miller in the 1970s, Tlaquepaque, pronounced Tlakh-Pakh, was created specifically to provide studio space for artists drawn to Sedona's inspirational landscape. Today, its courtyards and passageways house dozens of galleries featuring everything from fine art photography to hand-blown glass, contemporary sculpture to traditional southwestern jewelry. The annual Sedona Arts Festival, held each October, transforms the community into an outdoor gallery, with hundreds of artists from across the country displaying their work against the backdrop of the Red Rocks. The event has grown from a small local gathering in 1980 to a nationally recognized festival that draws thousands of visitors and generates substantial scholarship funds for emerging artists. What makes our festival unique, explained longtime organizer Jennifer Wagner, is the dialogue between the art and the landscape. The mountains don't just serve as a backdrop, they're an active participant in the experience. Perhaps most intriguing is the way Sedona continuously inspires new artistic movements. The vortex art movement, which emerged in the early 2000s, attempts to visually represent the energy field said to emanate from Sedona's power spots. Using techniques ranging from digital manipulation to traditional painting infused with crushed crystal pigments, these artists create swirling, dynamic works that aim to capture not just the visible beauty of Sedona, but its invisible energetic essence. Whether one views these works as spiritual expressions or simply appreciates their aesthetic qualities, they represent yet another way this extraordinary landscape continues to fuel human creativity. Even the food scene reflects Sedona's unique character. Restaurants emphasize fresh, locally sourced ingredients, often with a spiritual twist. One cafe owner told me the secret to her famous enchiladas wasn't in the recipe, but in the intention and energy she put into the preparation. Whether you believe that positive thoughts affect flavor or not, there's no denying that dining in Sedona comes with spectacular views and often thought-provoking conversation. Culinary traditions in Sedona blend Native American influences, Southwestern flavors, health-conscious California cuisine, and global techniques, creating something entirely its own. Local chefs have coined the term Sedona fusion to describe this distinctive approach that might combine prickly pear cactus fruit with Asian spices or infuse traditional Mexican dishes with locally foraged herbs. At Mariposa, perched on a hillside with panoramic red rock views, Chef Lisa Dahl creates Latin-inspired cuisine that she describes as food for the soul as well as the body. Her philosophy exemplifies the Sedona approach, honoring traditional techniques while embracing innovation, all with mindful attention to how food affects overall well-being. The farm-to-table movement found fertile ground in Sedona long before it became trendy elsewhere. Despite the challenging growing conditions, the Verde Valley supports several organic farms that supply restaurants with seasonal produce. Paying homage to indigenous agricultural traditions, many local farmers incorporate ancient techniques like Three Sisters planting, growing corn, beans, and squash together, and waffle gardens, small depressions. The healing arts thrive here too. Wellness centers offer everything from traditional massage to sound healing with crystal bowls, Reiki, and energy work that defies easy categorization. Practitioners claim the town's special energy amplifies their work, making Sedona an ideal place for transformation and healing. Visitors arrive stressed and leave, well, if not completely transformed, at least more relaxed and contemplative. I met John, a former Wall Street executive who now leads meditation hikes through the Red Rocks. I came here broken, he told me as we watched hawks circling overhead. Burnout, health problems, a life that looked successful on paper but felt empty inside. Sedona didn't just heal me, it showed me a different way to live. John's transformation is dramatic but not unique. The town seems to specialize in second acts and fresh starts. Of course, Sedona faces challenges too. The tourism that sustains its economy also threatens the very qualities that make it special. Traffic can clog the limited roads during peak seasons, and popular trails show signs of overuse. Water conservation is a constant concern in this desert environment. The community grapples with how to share their paradise without loving it to death, a dilemma faced by many beautiful places in our increasingly mobile world. The local culture of Sedona has adapted to these challenges with characteristic creativity. Conservation efforts blend Western pragmatism with spiritual reverence for the land. Community initiatives focus on sustainability and responsible tourism. Locals will proudly tell you about water-saving measures and trail restoration projects with the same enthusiasm they describe the latest energy vortex discovery. As daylight fades in Sedona, another kind of magic emerges. The star-filled sky creates a canopy that seems close enough to touch. Nocturnal creatures begin their nightly symphony and the red rocks transform into dark sentinels guarding ancient secrets. It's no wonder that many spiritual seekers choose sunset or moonrise for their most important rituals and reflections. I'll never forget sitting with Eleanor, an 87-year-old who's lived in Sedona for over 4 decades. As we watched the stars emerge, she pointed to a particular formation that glowed like embers in the last light of day. "That rock has been my teacher," she said simply. "It's taught me about patience, about endurance, about how to weather storms and still stand tall." Sedona doesn't just show you pretty views, it shows you who you are if you're willing to look. Whether you come to Sedona seeking spiritual awakening, outdoor adventure, artistic inspiration, or simply a break from everyday life, you'll find something that calls to you. The landscape works its subtle magic, inviting contemplation and connection. The community welcomes with a blend of Western hospitality and spiritual openness that feels increasingly rare in our divided world. For those planning a visit, prepare to be surprised. The photographs, as stunning as they are, don't capture the feeling of standing amidst the towering formations. The descriptions of energy vortexes don't convey the stillness that descends when you sit in these power spots. The tales of transformation can't predict how Sedona might change you. Each visitor's experience is unique, a co-creation between person and place. Our products at Town Tales offer you a deeper connection to this extraordinary destination. From comprehensive guides to the best hiking trails and vortex locations, to beautiful photography books that capture Sedona's changing moods through the seasons, to locally made crafts that embody the spirit of this special place, we've curated a collection that helps you bring a piece of Sedona magic home with you. The QR code on your screen will take you directly to our collection, and you'll find links to all products in the description below. As our journey through Sedona comes to a close, I'm reminded of something a local guide once told me. The red dirt of this place has a way of getting into your shoes, and then into your heart. There's truth in those words. Sedona doesn't just offer a vacation, it offers a vision of what life could be when we slow down enough to feel the earth beneath our feet, to watch the play of light on ancient stone, to breathe deeply and remember our connection to something vaster than ourselves. If you felt a stirring of curiosity, a whisper of longing, or simply enjoyed learning about this remarkable place, please take a moment to subscribe to Town Tales. Your likes, comments, and shares help us continue bringing these American treasures to life. If you feel pride in our beautiful country, gratitude for places like Sedona that remind us of nature's power, and desire for a better future where such wonders are preserved for generations to come, hit that subscribe button now. Every subscription is a vote for the stories that connect us to place, to history, and to each other. Thank you for joining me on this journey to Sedona, where the rocks are red, the sky is blue, and the possibilities for discovery are endless. Until our next adventure, keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep finding the extraordinary in the everyday. Don't forget to check out our other videos about America's hidden gems and legendary destinations. The road is calling. Where will Town Tales take you next?